That Man on Fatman is brought to you by Death Wish Coffee. Death Wish Coffee, the strongest coffee in the world. That Man on Fatman is also sponsored by Audible. Check out Audible over at audibletrials.com/thatmanonfatman. That Man on Fatman is now hosted on Podbean, so find us over at thatmanonfatman.podbean.com. And we here over at That Man on Fatman always feel a debt of gratitude to our buddy Chunder Tunes. So go check out his animation for all your podcast animation needs over at chundertunes.com. That Man on Fatman is available on most social media platforms. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube, or you can go over to our links. We're on the Podbean site at thatmanonfatman.podbean.com. There's all kinds of links there to all our other resources as well. So check that out.
This is Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman, and I want to urge you to make a generous donation to the Wayne Foundation so we can stop the sexual trafficking of children. Do it, or I'll find you.
That Man on Fatman is recorded with a Zoom H6 handy recorder. Zoom for creators.
Disclaimer. The show you're about to experience is for entertainment purposes only. The hosts use mature language and conversation just like in most of life. If you're too uptight, this might not be for you. All that said, we really do hope you enjoy the show. But if you don't enjoy it, expect a nice big shipment of my joyous Joker juice on your doorstep in the very near future. Toodles!
Yes, please note that use of all sound effects is done ironically.
Ooh-ah. You are listening to That Man on Fatman with Scott and Gene Holden, and they, trust me, have a great ass.
As the world's biggest Kevin Smith fan, I appreciate the fact that somebody finally made a podcast about that interesting motherfucker. So yes, you absolutely did the right thing.
Okay. What has two thumbs and is a huge fan of Kevin Smith? That Man!
Scott, who does That Man on Fatman podcast.
Yeah.
Ooh-ah.
Well, once upon a time, just a regular man read a book written by the Fat Man. Tough shit written by old Kev Smith.
Ooh-ah. That Man on Fatman.
Kev said go out and start a podcast, and so I did, and I had a real blast. But my obsession was driving my co-host nuts.
He's that man. He's talking.
Didn't want to bring the podcast down. Needed Porkchop Murphy to hang around.
Go get him, that man.
So I created a show with one heck of a plan, and I call that show That Man on Fatman.
That Man on Fatman.
Go get him, that man.
We're gonna talk about Kevin Smith.
That Man on Fatman. That Man on Fatman.
Go get him, that man.
We're gonna talk about Kevin Smith.
Go get him, that man.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to this episode 4-15 of That Man on Fatman. I'm Scott Holden. Here in the studio with me is none other than producer extraordinaire and co-host Gene Holden.
Hi.
And we have a guest in the house, so we have to rifle through the program as quickly as we can. Because
Is it 4-15?
Oh, wait, hang on. I'm just realizing I'm not bumping through the video shots. Dummy.
Is it 4-15?
I believe it's 4-15,
Okay.
yes. If it's not, it's 4-14, but it's 4-15 now.
I think it is.
We'll reset the numbers later. So, why don't we... oh, no, I just jumped to the wrong shot, and now everybody's seeing our guest in advance. Ooh. Anyway, it's a teaser for those at home. Anyway, for those watching the video. Why don't we jump into the SMed lines?
Okay.
All right, let's get that going.
And now, direct from the That Cave, we give you the SMed lines with Gene Holden.
Why, hello.
You're on.
I am on. You have no idea. No. So the last time we talked, it was Kevin Smith in New Jersey.
Yes, it was.
And it was all about the stash and Jay and Silent Bob. And so now we move on to the Funko figures.
Oh, yeah. Funko Pops. Apparently, Kevin has a big heart-on for those. I don't get it. I'll be honest. I don't get built-in collectability.
Right.
But we'll talk more about it when the guest is involved.
Right. So he went to Everett.
Since when did Stewie get so damn crazy? He's right in front of the camera and everything.
I know.
He just knocked it out of angle, too.
They're trying to be nice.
This is cool, though.
But he's a big fatty. Come on, baby. I love you. I love you. I love you. I don't want to hurt you. Okay. So anyway, sorry guys.
The whole show's coming apart.
Again. He's going to do it again. So he went. They have a huge headquarters now in Everett. In Everett, Washington.
I thought that was this.
Yeah. Oh my God! Can you believe it? It's so embarrassing. Stop doing that.
Go on.
See, and this is the time I shine, and you're making it like...
I'm embarrassing you?
Yeah.
So, all right, where was... Kevin went to the Funko Pops thing.
Yes, he went to the grand opening of the headquarters.
So big-headed vinyl figures.
So there's Comic Book Men Funko Pops now.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So we have... Who do we have now? We have Kevin Smith.
Yep.
We have Mike Zapsik, and I'm not doing this in any order, of course.
Mm-hmm.
We have Ming Chen.
Mm-hmm.
We have
Brian O'Halloran.
Brian O'Halloran.
No, Brian Johnson. Sorry, I've got Brian O'Halloran on the brain for some strange reason.
There should be a Brian O'Halloran and all that.
Obviously, because he's our guest today.
We have who did I miss?
Brian Johnson and
Walter.
Yes.
So those are awesome.
Collect
the
whole
set. Are they available now? Does that mean they're available now?
If they're not, they're close to it.
Okay.
Because they're like pushing them big time.
Right.
They also there are Clerks cards as well.
There are the Clerks cards
on the show.
Yeah. Maybe we can talk about that in a little bit.
I think we announced them when they came out.
We did, but no.
Not much since.
No, we have not.
Yeah. All right.
But we'll talk about them maybe in a little bit. Okay, so Kevin is going to be directing...
Is this another story, by the way?
This is a new story.
All right. Okay.
I don't really do a good transition into. Sorry, I kind of like they're all kind of blended in.
That's all right. Yeah, I'm here for you.
Thank you. I need the support.
What is what's a Wookiee?
So Kevin is going to be directing his third Supergirl episode.
Wow.
Yeah. So he was just in Vancouver and and there really isn't anything really. They have no name for the episode. They don't know what number it is. So it's basically. He's just going to be directing.
So he went in basically to get the notes and the script and all that stuff?
Right. And and while he was there, this is kind of cute. There's a comic book store there that he frequents, and he calls it the Toy Traders in Vancouver. Mm-hmm. And he went in and did a Facebook Live video. And just kind of did a tour of the store. And so I thought that was kind of a cute
basically did a promotion for the place.
Yeah. And
to millions of viewers, I'm sure.
And he goes in there to buy gifts for the crew, for the Supergirl cast and all that.
That's
amazing. That's the place he goes. So and they had to cover all the stuff, because you can't, advertise everything. It's kind of cute. So anyway, that was a side story, and that's the Smedlines.
Oh, wrong. I'm sorry.
That's the Smedlines, though.
Is it?
Yeah.
So I don't have to do this again?
No. Only if you want to.
All right, I did anyway.
But you can.
All right. I do think we have a Smedlines closer, though, so we can close out the segment with all its greatness.
I can just say bye.
I know.
I sound better than that anyway.
This has been the Smedlines.
That sounds so robotic. I don't sound like
Gene
that.
Holden.
I hate that it's me. We need to get a voice artist to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
We could have the big voiceover person do it, whoever that is.
Yeah, but we have good voices. We can just do it.
Yes. Well. All right. So, we've actually been hyping that our guest today was supposed to be Phil Hendrie. I can't say his last name right.
Phil Hendrie.
Hendrie, yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. I don't know why.
Hendrie.
I'm always thrown off when they end on a vowel or something. I guess. I don't know. The IE always throws me.
Okay.
Unless it's Tommy, then I'm okay.
What?
I don't know.
So weird.
Thank you. Wait, hang on a minute. Where is it? Where'd it go? I'm in the wrong damn sound thing. I need this.
A sound effect?
Yes. Thank you. All right.
Oh, my God. I knew that was going to be.
But you know what stinks? Like, I still have to go back to the other one because we have to leave the... So, we had to bump Mr. Hendrie another week.
Mr. Vagina.
Yes. Principal Vagina from
but
Rick and Morty.
If you didn't call him Principal, you call him Mr. Vagina.
And it's a great interview, but we'll play it next week because we have a time-sensitive guest on. I need to take a sip here because I'm already... I'm getting crazy. We have someone here who's got something to plug on August 6th, though. And they're a good friend of the show.
But that's the wrong date.
Yes, September 6th. Thank you. Flushing my brain out. Is it August still, though?
Flushing your brain out.
It's August now.
Yeah.
It's just that September 6th is the date.
It's August 20th today.
Thank you. All right, so in the house here is none other than... Hang on, let me get this going.
Oh, my gosh, look, Stewie's sitting right next to him.
I know, he's like in love.
Oh, my God, it's like they're like pals. Wait, I have to get my phone. I'm sorry, guys. I'll be right back.
You're going to get your phone? Because you want to start taking pictures.
They look like they're like buddies.
And here is our guest. None other than Mr. Brian O'Holler, and welcome to the show. Let me bring your mic up.
What's up? What's up? What's up?
I'm multitasking, and it's real difficult.
I see, man. It's like the Starship Enterprise up here.
Yes, I really need another person.
Seriously,
to help out
you need a Mr. Sulu, and you need a Chekhov, so that someone is running your sound while someone's running your camera, and then someone's loading photon torpedoes in there, too.
At one point, it was supposed to be my son, but you know how that goes.
Children.
Exactly. Teenagers.
God forbid you had a farm, you'd be losing crops left and right now.
All right,
Who's picking the potatoes?
I just cut us to the 3-shot, so we are on autopilot. So we can now just like vamp and have fun, and all the formalities are out of the way.
Perfect.
Welcome to the studio. It's your first time in the house.
It is the first time here at the house, and what a studio it is, my friend. You got cables and wires. I think there's more cables and wires here than at NASA right now.
Just remember, the thing is like whatever the camera doesn't see is okay. So that's why that was the biggest revelation.
No, I get it, man. I get it. It's really good. It's very we are anonymous and we're broadcasting from some sort of secret location.
Yes, it's the secret stash in the stash, I guess.
Exactly. I'm surprised we don't have me like blocked out like some sort of X something.
Some of your stuff is on the trophy wall.
I see
for
this,
sure. There's the Vulgar thing
that
you gave me, and it's signed. I have signed discs everywhere, so there's all kinds of shenanigans going on.
It's definitely nice and sweet. I like it here. Yeah. It's really nice.
We try and make it a fun place to hang.
It is, and it's so funny because today is like one of the most beautiful days outside.
Yeah.
And we're stuck here in the studio.
And a horrible day for celebrity deaths.
Yeah, two greats of comedy this past weekend passed.
Yeah, Dick Gregory.
The great Dick Gregory. Without which we would never have the spawnings of, Chris Rock or Chappelle or Pryor.
Mm-hmm.
I was saying to Gene, one of the things I remember him saying, like, later on, though, was like, black people should never drink anything with the word aid in it.
True.
Which is, very true. Because
Yeah,
he was
makes
against
sense.
sugar and all that.
A lot of,
Kool-Aid.
he's one of the few comics who actually goofed on Martin Luther King to his face, goofed on him right then and there, said a joke about it. It was really, really funny, and they're showing tons of his clips on a variety of news channels and comedy channels, as a matter of fact, this weekend. And then to see the great, Jerry Lewis pass.
Yes.
So funny.
Yes, one of the masters of physical comedy.
My God, slapstick. I love
and
that.
then one of the few people in the industry who came out for an actual medical cause very early on in their career.
Yeah, that's true.
He was one of the largest fundraising celebrities there was. I think his final numbers were something along the $2 billion mark.
Yeah,
and that was a time when, his muscular dystrophy drives, MS drives, were always like on at 4 a.m. They went.
But not only that, though, they went to kids in school. I remember being in Catholic school in the Bronx and getting those packets to raise money for these walkathons, and you'd find friends and relatives and neighbors you'd go to the door, please sponsor me as I walk 5 miles, and they would then see how much you would get paid per mile, you know what I mean, which was weird. It was like I'm kind of like selling my feet for like money for people people who. But you know what? It worked. It got
did.
people out. Not
Yeah.
only did it raise money for MS, but it got some kids healthier. I mean, and stuff by walking some more. Even though
Sure
back
did.
then there was no sitting in the house playing video games or being on a computer anyway. But still, so it was fun, and he's a huge loss, and he did so much for comedy and also for the world.
Sorry, Gene's going to hit the air because it's stuffy in here.
No, that's all right. That's just me spouting. Gets a little hot air out here.
Speaking of comedy, so let's talk about September 6th so we know that this is out of the way because I'll forget if we don't talk
Not at
about
all. Not at all. Thank you so much for having me come up here at such
no
short
problem.
notice.
No.
But yeah, this Wednesday, September 6th, for those who are like, what day of the week is that? It's a Wednesday. Wednesday, September 6th at 8 o'clock. If any of you came out for the screening of Shooting Clerks a couple of weekends ago on Kevin's birthday weekend celebration in
That was
Atlantic
amazing.
Highlands, just literally half a block or a block and a half down from that location of the Atlantic Cinemas is this place called the Wine Bar, which is a restaurant bar above the Harborside Restaurant and Bar, both the same owner. So come on down, and what we're doing is we're doing a celebrity roast of me. So it's hosted by comic roast master himself, Chris Covert, also known as part of the Jersey Jokers
yeah,
team.
I know. I remember meeting him.
Yeah, very funny. He does
He
a
is
lot
funny.
of parody song kind of humor. Very, very cool. It's a very filthy roast too.
Absolutely.
So, thank God.
I think they're supposed to be, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. But some people, you never know. But I mean, if they're listening to this podcast with the explicit warnings that you put up on
Absolutely.
it,
we assume they're
it's
safe.
Similar. It's similar in the same type of vein.
Yes.
But part of the people on the dais for this event will be a lot of the guys from Comic Book Men. We'll be getting, in no particular order, Brian Johnson, Ming Chen, Mike Zabsig. Then my own girlfriend herself, Diana Devlin, is going to come up and throw a couple of zingers at me. Then we have a previous cast member and actually a previous guest of your show, Mr. Scott Schiaffo will be coming on.
Oh, yay.
Scott, actually, we have to get him in here again because he kind of likes to consider himself as the most appeared guest.
Probably.
And he's starting to slip.
Yeah, well, yeah. He's like the Alec Baldwin of your show on SNL. And Ernie O'Donnell will be there as well.
Cool,
and then we
Ernie.
have three great comics themselves, one by the name of K.P. Burke, the other one of John Gilbreth, and then our final one.
John Gilbreth sounds really familiar.
John Gilbreth, yeah, you might have seen him at a bunch of different things.
I think I did. Is he from like Long Island or something?
I know the name, that's for sure.
He might be. I don't know exactly.
There was a funny one, a funny guy we saw. I remember in Red Bank that one night. He was like from Long Island, and he was funny.
And then our final comic is also Ken Krantz, another guy who calls himself the Michael Jordan of comedy.
Whoa.
If Michael Jordan played baseball.
Okay. Okay. Which he did.
And
it was awful.
And then
I don't think he was awful. Actually,
he was terrible
was
at baseball. Yes, he was.
Really?
Yeah, atrocious.
He was. Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah. The only reason he got to play was because he was Michael Jordan and brought him out into the minor league place he played.
And who's turning out to be an amazing baseball player? The what's his name? The football player, isn't he?
Yeah. You're talking about.
Is it Brady?
No,
I know nothing about sports, so you're
Tebow?
anything.
Tebow,
you guys
yeah, Tim Tebow.
Tim Tebow.
Who was signed by the New York Mets organization to play in their minor league system, and
was he
He's a football.
He was
the one that
quarterback.
Trump likes and everything? The Christian guy?
Well, no, he likes Brady, but yes, he is the Christian guy. He's the one that everybody did that Tebow where he would, take a knee and pray and thank Jesus for that he didn't throw an interception.
Yeah.
And he's an amazing baseball player. Isn't he?
I wouldn't say amazing. He's holding his own. Let's say.
I guess he's better than I expected.
He's better than what people expected.
Yeah.
The Mets signed him to a 1-year contract for the minor leagues. It's a lot of PR for them, and I hope he does well.
Right.
I mean, but they're not. I don't see him if he comes up to the majors. And since the Mets are doing not spectacular this season, I could see him coming up for the last 2 weeks of the season just to bring in fans in the seats to make some money.
And to the ladies and some of the guys.
Oh, yeah, he's handsome.
No,
yeah,
okay, just turn around.
Him? Tim Tebow?
Okay, but I'm telling you, the ladies and some of the boys.
The Christian thing goes.
The football ass?
It's the ass.
Yeah.
It's like finding out someone's into professional
In those
wrestling. It's like, no,
baseball
I
pants.
can't.
No.
Yeah, but
as
you can
everybody
turn all
knows,
that. You can turn all that off.
football spandex are much tighter than baseball.
I know, but
outfits.
there's something about the baseball.
There
it's
is
more
something
innocent
like
or something.
I haven't watched football in a long time, and I tuned in to a game, and the outfits definitely are different. Everything is much skin tighter. It's a different.
Well, yeah, you don't want to be tackled. You don't want anyone
Yeah.
grabbing something and pulling you down by your shirt.
Yeah.
Back in the day, before the
When
nylon
the jerseys
stuff,
all
they
hung
literally
and stuff.
they hung, but also they would spray themselves with Pam, the non-sticking spray, so that if you tried grabbing them, you would slip off. Then they banned that.
Wow.
But yeah, there was all sorts of ways of trying to not get caught.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of cheating.
Yeah.
In a weird way.
So I guess then if you could stick your hands in the stickum jar or
Yes.
something, or whatever. Yeah, so now I can grab your ass.
Right. But getting back to the roast,
Asses.
but yes, the roast will be at the wine bar. If you come on down to the Atlantic Highlands, it's exit 117 off the Parkway. If you are from Jersey, you'll get that.
Okay, and we'll also post it on our
yes, and
on
it's
our site.
It's at 8 p.m. and tickets are available at Eventbright. So if you just
Oh my
type
God,
in,
there's so much going on that night. You get like all of those like awesome people are going to be like.
You get to watch everybody trash Brian.
Correct, and then I
then
get
you get
last
comedians
legs. I
after
get
that.
last legs.
That is true. You do get to hit
Now-
back.
Okay, so after everyone goes,
Then I get
you
up.
go.
Yeah.
Then
Plus,
now
we've-
what do you do? Then roast
Oh,
everybody else?
I gotta.
Yeah,
I
that's
didn't
how
know-
every roast
Talk
I didn't
shit.
know how-
Talk shit back.
Oh, I didn't know you
Well, I
weren't
didn't
familiar
know-
with the roast thing.
I didn't think I didn't know that part. I didn't
Yeah.
know that you went back to everyone else and did
Oh
it.
yeah, you. Otherwise, what fun would it be if you didn't
Of
get to
course.
hit back?
Yeah,
Then
but-
you just cry in your beer and you keep yourself away from sharp items.
I know it at the Daily Show. Whenever a writer leaves, they do a roast
Yes,
for him.
exactly.
So, and when we filmed for the documentary, we filmed for fucking Elliot's last day. He was the head writer.
Oh wow.
Who
Elliot
we
Caitlin.
didn't know. Elliot Caitlin, thank you. Who was just going on to MST3K.
Oh my God, he's so
where
great
he
on that
became
show.
head writer
Right.
and now is moving out to L.A.
He's
to-
acting in it too. He's in like certain skits.
Yeah.
What was that?
He's arrived.
Nice.
And what's funny is we have interview footage of those guys saying, MST3K was our influence getting us into podcasting.
Nice.
So it's like, holy shit, full circle story.
Yeah.
What? Are you wrestling a cat?
Now I'm having funkiness going on with my headphones.
Oh, I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, he's just chilling.
Wrestling a cat.
He's chilling right next to me. The cat. He's just
Oh
now
my
he's
God.
asleep. Sitting.
Our cat Stewie loves Brian.
That's
Holland.
Stewie. Ooh, that reminds me. Okay.
He's soothing. That's why he's a soothing,
Weird
calm
moment.
person.
So we had Ralph Garman on a couple episodes ago.
Very cool, dude.
Very cool, dude.
Oh my God! Understatement of the century.
Yeah. Like when we met him, we weren't sure what to expect. And just because he seems surlier than most of Kevin's
so-
co-hosts and friends.
Right.
He's so much the opposite.
Yeah, when we met him,
like
he was
gentle, just like so
Very cool.
funny and like normal.
And that came through on the show.
Yeah.
But towards the end, he was talking a lot about Family Guy and all that stuff, and I was like, "Hey, isn't there like some sort of feud between the Family Guy camp and the Kevin Smith camp?" And he was like, I didn't realize that until like midway through.
Yeah, we made reference of it in the cartoon series.
That's what I was like. And as he was talking about it, I even said it on the show. I flashed back. I'm like, oh, shit. I remember Brian O'Halloran doing Stewie on the show. And that Stewie is named after Stewie.
Right.
And he's named after
So
Stewie.
it was like, oh, my God. We drew first blood.
No,
in
not at all.
retrospect.
It was, Kevin's camp, if you want to think of it
Yeah,
that way.
yeah.
But I mean, I believe at the time when we did the cartoon series in 2000, they were in between
That's
being
when
canceled.
Yeah, they had.
So in the writers, and this was a thing that Kevin and Dave Mandel and those guys had, in that circle of Hollywood and the writers and comedy writers and animators,
And
it was that type of
apparently
thing.
There was some other writer over in Kevin's camp who worked or who kind of gave them shit during Mallrats.
something
Right.
like that.
Yeah. So I guess there are more layers than originally.
Correct.
Okay, so there's more of a back scene. But Ralph did sort of express wanting to make that all go away and
Yeah,
close the rift.
Oh my
it
God,
was
they
funny
would
because
be amazing together. That's
Because
why.
then I remember Seth MacFarlane had made reference in one of the Family Guy episodes about Kevin Smith.
Yes,
And
yes,
his,
yes. They
and
started
his
shooting
weight
back.
and stuff like that. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's it's all in good fun.
I was so
It's not like Tupac Biggie, you know what I mean?
There
It's
was
not
actually
East Coast West Coast.
It was
going
such a
on here.
weird one. It was like here it is, in whatever day, and I'm 5,000 years away from another Kevin Smith movie because they were in the past.
And wasn't there one like how sometimes he like scrolls like the people he doesn't like or something?
Yeah,
Wasn't
was
there,
he
like,
on
Kevin
that?
Smith on there?
I don't even know.
I could have sworn that he was on
There's
one
a
of those.
list of people I don't like.
List of people I don't like.
That's from the marijuana episode. Where
Oh my
Ralph
God,
Garman does a
Garman.
voice. So
Pot.
we're all full circle here. So,
Pot, a small amount of pot.
but they did. When he's like, yeah, and then that's what Ralph pulled. He said, I think they did something on the cartoon commentary.
Correct.
That,
Well, it was aired. There was a scene where they shoot back to the writer's room, and you see a cartoon version of Dave Mandel with a book that's how to write a cartoon. And it says by Seth MacFarlane on it. If you've seen the cartoon series,
yes.
I forget exactly what episode that is, but it's on one of the.
There's
episodes.
only 6.
I know, and but it's always a blur to me.
I have to go back.
It's like 20.
Are they going to do more? Are they going to do that again?
No.
That's like a.
You know what? It's something
absolute?
I would love to.
Is it an absolute?
I don't know if it's an absolute no.
No.
Only because
Nowadays,
huh?
Nowadays,
I don't know. It would be simple. It would simple to. We all have our own voices. When we visually become hideous to look at on live camera, I think it's something that maybe we can able to do. You never know.
But I mean, it seems like
that's
there
the beautiful
has to
thing
be,
about animation.
There has to be a place for it because there's so many places.
Of course.
To want. Like,
I
mean,
love.
there's
First of all, I've said it before on the show. I love that animated series. I think that the first
so
3
funny.
are funny, and the second 3 are genius.
And
I mean,
people
they're just
like
off
Clerks.
the
Why
hook.
wouldn't they love the Clerks cartoon?
Of course.
Duh.
But when you play the commentary tracks, it does make it much funnier.
Oh my
I mean,
God, yeah.
you guys
They're always
do
a lot
have.
funnier.
There is a bitterness to that particular commentary track that does make it.
Well, I mean,
a little more fun.
We would kind of had been canceled by that
Yes,
point.
exactly. So you were airing your grievances.
I wonder where the bitterness
You know,
comes from.
it's literally getting the round table of the engineers who built the Titanic, and it was just like, well, we did our best.
Fuck that guy.
Hey, who would ever think we'd have a fucking iceberg come and hit our boat? All right. So and our iceberg just so happened to be who wanted to be a millionaire. That's what hit our ship, and that's what sank our ship. Was
Is that
once
true?
Oh yeah.
And plus,
Who
there
wants
was
to be a
a literal so many animation shows just thrown out at once, like Dilbert and
but Dilbert had a great run on UPN. That was the thing that they had 3 seasons
because they went with the smaller network.
Correct, and UPN came after David and Kevin and said, "Come on us, we'll take a full season." And it was Michael Eisner who called them to a meeting to ABC. He's like, "What do you need to go to them? They won't even be around next year." Which he was kind of right, but it was 7 years later before they died, meaning UPN as a network.
Yeah.
And then they turned into My 9 and all those other.
I just made a leap because you saying that's
the truth.
That's when Kevin met with Iger and where he got the "don't fuck with the brand,"
right?
Most likely,
right?
Oh no, wait a minute. There's a lot of aha moments going on because I think what's his name was in that meeting as well, the big guy from
Dave Mandel was in that meeting. It was Dave Mandel, Eisner, and Kevin.
Apparently,
and they were and he was giving them a really great deal. Like, look, you stay with us, a real network. We'll give you a Super Bowl ad. Giving you a Super Bowl ad, which at that time was like $1.5 million for 30 seconds. They were like, okay, so we literally had a Super Bowl ad. But the problem was that they kind of kept it for them so that no one else would have it.
Right.
They kind of knew that it was going to die. They didn't know what they were doing. They weren't really in. Obviously, it's a Disney company. You think they would know what to do with animation, but they didn't know what to do with this kind of stuff. This kind of animation.
Yeah.
So.
Well,
the
because
fireworks
it's geared towards
salesman.
a specific
But you guys
audience.
did find. It seemed like the show found its voice there at the end.
Well,
too.
once again, it's a following of a brand that was known. It was a known quantity back then, and Kevin had built up his fan base by 2000. So, and to this day, more and more now that people who were Generation Xers now have their own kids, and their own kids are now old enough to watch Kevin Smith's work, and show them this type of stuff.
Yeah.
Usually, the cartoon is the first thing of Kevin's that they can show their younger
That
kids.
is true.
Because
That
there's
is
no
true.
cursing.
We did too.
I think we
did.
show
We
Cameron
did
the
in fact
cartoon.
do that
It's
before Clerks.
it's just the introductions with Jay and Kevin, where Jay
It's the
curses up a
tween
blue.
age.
It's that stuff. You just got to skip the introduction to get right into the cartoon.
That's right. We did
and
that
you
too.
Can, and you
We're
can
the
get
same psychos.
Right. You can get the kids introduced to the Jay and Bob and Dante and Randall characters.
And those are great.
Yeah, it was something that I would love to do. I mean, and then when Jay came back to me and a few people to come back for the Jay and Silent Bob Super Groovy cartoon movie.
Yes, exactly.
I thought, oh, here it is, and it's Stark doing the artwork. I was like, ooh, here's our chance to maybe, if this picks up and do really well, maybe we can reconstitute a half an hour cartoon again, and we'll use Stark's version of animation, and we'll do. And, we'll see what happens. I mean, it was a big success, and thanks to Jordan and Jay for producing that and putting the idea together and taking one of Kevin's comic book storylines and putting it into a movie format. And so you never know. There's so many. It's like Kevin has a China shop. There are so many plates in the air of projects that he has spinning. And
there's so many possibilities, too.
Yeah.
That's over here.
That's so much like...
Well, he has an animation movie sort of done. Stark has a Smoley Bible.
Yes.
And that was going to be like how Jay and Silent Bob Super Groovy cartoon movie was their sort of tour movie.
Right.
It was going to be Kevin and Scott's tour movie.
Right.
And it's basically a best of Bible cuts from Smodamations or whatever.
Right.
Set to a movie.
But are they going to do that though? I thought they weren't going to do that.
It's done. They just have to at some point when they're both around and need to take it on tour, or Scott needs money or whoever.
Maybe it's just not a priority now.
It's really tough to find distribution and outlets of different things. Like even the guys who put together Shooting Clerks, which we're a part of together. I mean, they're still trying to figure out the strategy of how they're going to. Yes, we've had screenings at film festivals and different type of Comic-Con events like that. But now is the time to, once they lock the movie in, because it's still not locked up. They still shot a few more cameos last weekend with Brian Johnson and a few others that I don't want to release. But once they lock the movie up and they want to get distribution, it's another thing that. Where do they go next?
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought up Shooting Clerks because you were a big part of Shooting Clerks.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to talk about more of that too.
Yeah, you were a producer as well as you were in the movie.
Correct.
And I remember the night you shot that, I walked right past you and absolutely did not recognize you.
Didn't recognize you at all.
Totally did not fucking until you came up and introduced yourself, and I said, "Holy shit!"
Yeah, but hadn't we met him before that?
Of course, but
he
was totally in character. You don't remember? His hair
was slicked back.
He was wearing a suit.
And these big horn rim glasses on.
Remember, you're in the movie, Gene. You're in that
absolutely am. And I say nothing.
Where did we shoot that?
That was at a restaurant down, I want to say, near Asbury Park. But it wasn't. It was further inland, I would say. Neptune. It was in Neptune.
That was like a big night for us. We were so excited. Yeah.
It was good. And then that restaurant was good. The food was good. They had those, what was it, pulled pork cheese bites that were incredibly good.
Yeah. They did have they had like these bitey things. I don't know what they were. Whatever my hand is doing, it's not doing it justice. Sorry.
I think those are the pulled pork bites. I think
is that what they were?
They were. They were so good.
Listen, you know what?
They can't all be winners.
And so it was great, and this is a movie that's 4 years.
My hand
still
made
in
it into that scene.
I saw that.
And I think Frank's did too.
Did you really know? Did you notice his hand?
Yeah, just kidding.
I did. Believe me, I did. I've seen it 6 times now.
See, that's why he has to have the tattoo of his logo right where the thumb is. So anytime he does.
Yes, I'm that much of a shill.
Plus, it helps when he's masturbating. Look!
Not the last time.
It makes it that much bigger.
Oh, my God. It's like so much hotter than that. It's like so much hotter than
my
that.
ego. Feeds my ego.
This is so hot.
Figo.
Anyway, but listen.
Yes, ma'am.
I am in it in the background. I'm just like an extra in the background. But not the last time. Stop doing that. That was one of those spontaneous, like...
After Ralph Garman said that we had great asses, that was her response. She was like,
"Yeah."
So I'll never forget it as long as we
live. I just want to die. But you know what? Ralph Garman just. Anyway, now I forget what we were talking about.
We were talking about Shooting Clerks and how you made it in.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. I was in it now. Not the last time we saw it, but the time before that.
Yeah, well, the only time didn't make it was because they framed it weird. Yes, they had to go with
the screen was just small enough.
They cut you out.
But the last screening I saw, which was in the Monmouth, you were in it.
I wasn't.
She definitely was in it.
And which is more the framing of what it will be. So no need to panic.
Yes, in the widescreen, it'll just be in the pan and scan for the TV version. You might get chopped out.
I'm just happy. You know what though? I have to say, I'm just happy that I'm just like It's just happy. I'm like so happy.
You're working it back there. Peas and carrots work.
How can you go wrong? Just happy the whole time.
Yes,
it's a great movie. It's like so 85% of it true. So it's
much
great.
Fun.
85.
Yeah, I would say 15% of it is artistic license, and mostly it's
Really?
just timing issues, and when things happen, kind of thing.
Now, how does that work with that?
What's cool actually is lately Kevin's been letting some of the more obscure ones that are in the movie slide. So he's sort of like reaffirming it.
Now, see, like when you have that, when there's like a 15% that's not right, like what do you do?
That's just artistic. They need.
Do you need to get
that.
permission though to do that?
No, I mean it's in a sense what it is
You're
is
altering.
Obviously, what happened? Let's say in the bedroom with Brian Johnson and Kevin when he's screening for the first time Clerks to him. Obviously, no one knows what was said to each other for the most part. I mean, Kevin has talked about things and Brian Johnson on different podcasts. If you piece, and that's what these guys did.
And names are changed to protect.
Names are changed, but also just events are different changed. Like, like some things like the I was just told recently, like the goodbye note to Kevin from his girlfriend in high school was changed and added to because of something they experienced meaning the guys who produced the film, experienced while shooting.
Yeah.
A guy dropped out, and he's like, the hell with you guys, and he wrote them a note saying, like, I will never waste my time with you guys.
Oh, okay,
blah, blah.
so they kind of
weave that into the thing, and then that's the type of the artistic license you do. You got to make still the film entertaining. As much as it's a true story, you still need to somewhat make it entertaining. And even Kevin said it at the screening at his first time seeing it at his birthday party in the Atlantic Highlands. Even though he knows the ending of the whole film, because he lived it, he said he was still like, man, there was moments where I was like, I hope these guys get to finish the movie, or he was sucked in because of that moment. And that's the sign of great writing and filmmaking.
That's how I made it in, sort of. The Howard piece is a nod to the fact that as one of his influences to putting the film together was Howard's, Private Parts.
Right.
Because you don't have many self-referential biography movies based on real people. So he looked to that a lot for inspiration. And in the end of the day, he said, I want to kind of nod to Howard in there. And plus, Kevin did have a history with.
Of course.
So it all made sense. So it worked out for me.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah, that actually really was cool. I mean, it's neat to see it, too, when it happens. And it always gets a little crowd response, too.
Yeah, it does. Well, everybody loves Howard, and everybody, wishes that he was free again on TV. You know what I mean?
I know.
I mean, those days when he was on WOR here in the New York area, it was just a lot of fun.
What was that, Channel 9?
That was Channel 9. That would have been the Channel 9 show.
And then the E people saw how successful it was, and they signed him to a gigantic contract to be on E. Yep.
We were aping E more in style.
You're right, I saw that. Yeah, I saw that. And you did. You pulled it off great, man. I mean, to be honest with you, people really think it is Howard.
What's funny is I reached out to we reached out to a friend of Kevin's as well. Help me, Gene, because names go out of my head.
Who are we talking about?
Our Robin. We wanted to bring in Robin.
Yes.
And
a woman to play Robin
Donna?
Quivers?
Yeah, Donna. It was Donna. Thank you. Donna Turner. And we reached out to her, but she never got back to us. And then, long after the fact, I was like, Donna, you missed this chance. And she was like,
she could have been on screen just chuckling. That's all.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right. No,
just a quick nod. It would have worked. And but we couldn't get a hold of her.
Oh, that would have been great.
Yeah, she jumped right into my mind, too, when we were doing that.
She would have been perfect. She would have been perfect.
Yes. And
if I would have known, I would have called Jackie Martling himself. I'm friends with Jackie. So.
It's funny because we recorded with
Stacey Pressman.
Stacey Pressman last week,
yeah,
and she said she just met you for the first time.
That's right. We had lunch. Me, her, Jackie, Steve Grillo, a few other people in Manhattan 2 months ago. As a matter of fact, I just
who's
hung
now
out
my
with
friend
Steve
on
and
Facebook.
those guys. Yeah, good guy, really good guy.
So, are you a Howard guy? Were you a Howard fan back in the day?
Yeah.
I mean, I think everybody was.
Look, I wasn't paying for XM Sirius to listen to him from that point on, but I had friends who did, so I would hear the repeats from time to time in people's cars and whatnot. But I was a big Howard fan. I remember going to high school and having a FM Walkman while going into school class and riding the bus, because it was like a 15-minute ride to school, and listening to Howard on the way in, and sometimes not getting to homeroom on time because
me too.
he was on a bit that you wanted to hear the ending of. And this was before they would repeat, like XM, when he was on free radio on K-Rock and stuff. And I was just like, oh man, I don't want to be late. And then there would be times I'd sneak in and have it playing in and put books on top of my Walkman just so I can hear some more. And when the teacher would turn her back and I'd put the earphone, I'm like, oh, what's going on? And he's got lesbians in the thing. God damn it. Things like that.
I remember my first, I was late. The first time I was late I was working at Sam Goody. So that sets the time. But it was during the Kinnison and Howard had a big fight, over the Bon Jovi thing. And I just could not stop listening.
Yeah.
And then they got into a big argument, and then Gilbert came in, and they were counting mans and dudes, and it was
Gilbert
so fucking brilliant.
Gottfried.
Yeah. You even have to ask.
I don't remember him so much.
Oh, that was one of the funniest
Sam
moments
Kinison.
ever.
So good.
I remember Sam Kinison a lot.
He was always
so funny.
He was always like the comics comic.
Who?
Like Gilbert.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's much more like.
He's still really.
Yeah, he is.
Inside.
I've got to work with him a few times, and he is hilarious.
He has a great podcast too.
Someone wrote us recently about having him in the movie.
I'd love to have him in the movie.
Yeah, I said that too. But
Who?
I don't know. It was one. You never
He's in
really
New York,
know
so you wouldn't have to travel.
No.
Exactly.
I know, but it's hard to find contacts.
And I think he's just
that's when you
changed
need
management.
Okay.
Because we were out west, and when we were out west, we actually interviewed his the head of his management team. But I think since then he's changed up. Yeah, remember when we went up into?
So then contact them; they would know where he went to.
Yeah, well, I have all that info now.
Yeah, so
some guy contacted us. He's like, "I'm a friend of a friend."
Oh my God, that's whoever that is. Thank you.
Yes.
No, you should definitely Gilbert's
that sounds very unprofessional.
Gilbert's a great interview, so it would definitely.
Oh yeah.
Have you been watching the CNN History of Comedy?
We actually shared the bill of. What was it? Podfest 2015.
No, very nice.
He was the headliner, and we were just earlier in the day. So technically, we were on the same bill.
Have we been watching that? No.
We
have not been watching
the History of Comedy on CNN.
No, that just started.
Yeah.
When did that start? Last night?
No. It's in episode 4, so 4 weeks ago.
I like to binge those when they come out, like the 80s
I think
and
you
the
can.
60s.
Yeah, I think you can. It's on Sunday night, so the newest episode will be tonight.
Great.
I think it's at 10 o'clock. The 90s come on at 9.
And there's an extra long. Ooh, the 90s.
Which have been really good.
Which
I'm still curious if they're
video. I'm like falling all over the place.
I'm still waiting to see if the CNN 90s show is going to mention at all. Because tonight is all the music, allegedly.
God, yes.
I wonder if they're going to mention Clerks at all. I know that.
Oh, they should.
I knew that FX did a show, or National Geographic did a show called Gen X, hosted by Slater, Christian Slater, as the narrator.
Oh, cool.
And they
Pump up the volume.
They interviewed Kevin. They asked my permission so that my image could be used and all this other stuff. And it was done. It was done really well, and Kevin did a great job. If anybody wants to see that, that's another one called Generation X, with Christian Slater by National Geographic.
National Geographic. Nice.
Yeah, that came out last year. But I'm curious if they're going to do, because they did television shows of the 90s, but they didn't do anything really film related yet. Because so
90s
many
was a big thing,
gigantic for especially for
God,
independent
Nirvana.
filmmakers. That was their rise. You had the Jarmuschs, you had Kevin Smith,
and Kevin Smith was sort of. I mean, he sort of typifies a sort of a guy who was raised on film and literally,
but who also continues to make.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And was inspired by his. That's why Shooting Clerks always made sense, and so did Snowball Effect.
Right.
Clerks is brilliant because it's the story of how it became a movie is just as fucking fascinating as the movie itself.
Right. That's why, if anybody out there listening, if you follow my Twitter or Kevin's Twitter or Ulriki Media, which is the guy filmmaker who lives in Scotland, no less. That's the other thing. People from Scotland made the film, which you're like, what? And they're like, Scotland.
And so by extension, Shooting Clerks has its own little weird, like how that was made.
Correct. Because that's going on now 4 years of how they pieced it together and waited. They wanted to fly everybody to Scotland, but then the money just didn't come through and all sort of stuff. And if you get a chance to see it screened when it's ready to come out, especially, please support it. These guys did an amazing job doing it.
They really did.
And
so much dedication and love.
But we'd love to see if they put it on the 90s on CNN. That'd be interesting.
That would be great. Yeah.
Because I know Kevin did some commentary on the making of comedy, the history of comedy. He comes in and talks about comics, not comic books, but comedians on that show. So I saw him come into it, so I was wondering, but that's a history of comedy, not necessarily comedy films.
Okay. Yeah, but if you're doing a 90s thing, you can't not talk about Pulp Fiction.
But not only that, though. So you guys, since you are that man on Fatman, you need to watch history comedy because Kevin's on it.
You're darn straight.
That is our content, sweetie.
God, we need to be tipped off of everything, too. God, there's so much. Kevin is everywhere now.
This show needs a crew of 5.
Yes, we
really
do.
Need more people.
We have outgrown our small crew.
We need more people.
Who do you think is going to be more responsible first? Cameron or Maura?
You guys already interviewing people for?
No, Cameron is our son and Maura's our daughter.
I know, but I'm saying, are you interviewing now? Because you should be. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes, for my deep pockets of reserves here.
Yeah, you put a word out. Put a word out to the fans that are listening. Anybody in the northern Jersey area that want to work on a successful podcast and be an engineer and or / who never know, because those are the guys like Howard Stern's Whack Pack all got in because they were just volunteering.
That's true.
Next thing you know, they got on air. Next thing you know, they had their own shows.
We can feed you though, and you can have coffee.
That's true.
Yes. Coffee and donuts.
They have wonderful, and if you're an animal lover, they have wonderful, nice pets that give you huge greetings.
Yeah, if you're allergic to cats, you're fucked.
Yeah.
No, if you're allergic, you're done. Yeah,
you're done. You're dead.
No, you just wear a mask.
Just wear a mask.
No. That's what I do.
Right.
So tonight we're going to watch the comedy show. What is that called again?
History of Comedy.
History of Comedy. Then we're going to watch the 90s.
And the 90s comes first.
Now,
at 9.
when is Game of Thrones?
Here's the problem. Game of Thrones is on.
Where is Game of Thrones?
That's at 9. That's at 9.
And it's an hour and 15 minutes.
But here's the bonus.
Nobody watches anything when it's on.
Correct.
Anymore.
And the benefit of these 2 CNN shows, they do repeat it later in the night.
Yes.
So I'll watch Game of Thrones and fuck
and we did want we have dialed into the 90s, and I love all of their decade documentaries.
Correct.
I just like being able to binge them all at one.
No, which they do.
They
usually will air like 3 of the episodes right in a row before the newest episode comes on, which I think they'll be doing tonight.
Speaking of, you must binge The Defenders.
Okay,
yeah, it was good. It was nice.
You think I would?
Hey, your
I
girlfriend's
support
in it big
because
time.
yes, Rosario Dawson's in it. So big shout out to Rosario.
Can I say,
we actually talked a little bit about
we
that.
We said that. I'm like, oh my god,
she's amazing in it too.
She's so hot.
And not only she's beautiful, but I mean she's incredibly smart.
She's an amazing
and
actress.
Fantastically politically active. She's on the right side of history, as everybody knows.
She's an amazing woman.
Yeah, she's an all around. Yeah, and then she's going out. She's going out with Andre. I forget the comedian's name. I forget his name. Anyway,
I'm terrible with
They
names
make
anyway.
a great little super couple together as well.
God, I'm so happy for her.
And she's been living more and more here in the New York City area.
Yeah. When she acts, I swear, you're so like
she's real. She feels
you're so in that like second.
Yeah.
I'm just like she blows me away.
There's a couple moments. If you go back to Daredevil, there's an episode. I think it's like the 3rd or 4th where she is being attacked, and for God's sakes,
I haven't seen it. I have to see it.
Oh, you fucking believe that she has been in this situation because she's very convincing.
Oh, she'll cut a bitch.
Oh my God!
No, don't fuck with her. She'll cut a bitch.
Oh my God! Oh yeah, she fucking whacks him right in the head.
Oh my God, Brian O'Halloran like acted with her and like how cool.
Yes.
And I'm thinking of like you were like doing her nails and she was like
Michael worked with her on Defenders, so I was like, Michael, you have to get her on my show.
No, but isn't that cool to think? Like, isn't that cool to think about?
Well, no, I mean it was an amazing experience working with her, and we keep in touch. So
and you do.
yeah,
That's
we do.
So awesome.
We do keep in touch. So it's she's been really really cool, and like I said, I enjoy everything.
I
that
heard
she
she's
does.
a nerd too.
Super nerd.
She
follows comic books. She had her own comic book for a while, and she keeps up with that big time. She goes to Comic Cons not only as a guest to sign autographs and stuff, but she likes to walk around and see what's out there new anyway.
As a fan,
as a fan, that's the greatest thing. Is like it's a weird phrase. Like she's like a guy's kind of girl in a way. Like
totally get that.
You cut, you talk shit to her, she snaps back and talks funnier shit back to you and stuff. And she's into sports as well as into comics, and she's into sci-fi, and yet then she's stunningly beautiful as well. And yet she can dress down and look hot, and she can wear the highest haute couture and still obviously look stunning. And that's the greatest thing about her. But
And she was your girlfriend in Clerks too.
I was very, very beneficial to. I was definitely thankful to Kevin. Like, wow, I'm getting paid for this. And it's awkward because you're working with Kevin, and then you look at the worksheet, and you're like, today we're doing. There's a dance routine on the roof, and okay, tomorrow.
Yes, I
like,
remember
now
that.
we're at a go-kart track
Oh my God,
all day,
I love that
and
scene.
then the next day is like, oh, you're making out with Kevin's real wife while she straddles you on a swing.
Oh my God, yes.
Talk
Jen!
about awkward. Talk about awkward.
Oh
Yeah, what was that
What
like?
was that like?
Well, let's put it into perspective.
Kevin
here.
really seems like he's into cuckold.
Let's put it into
It does
perspective.
seem
He
like
really
that.
does seem like he's into the cuck thing.
I wonder
It's-
if he's into that.
I wouldn't at all be
Ooh,
surprised.
is that a weird question to ask?
No.
Well, I don't know either, so I have no answer. on that
Okay,
one.
so
But at the same rate, you think
So you've never been hired. Hey, Brian, can you come by the house?
it's the weirdest thing. You've never had your boss say to you, "Hey, I want to film you making out with my wife while she straddles you on a swing," and I film it. It's no other job besides the porn industry is that going to happen.
Right.
It'd be weird if he said, "Did you get hard?"
Well, that's the worrisome thing. Is like I'm in my head. I'm like, please don't let the launch code start. You know.
Well, because she's like, yeah.
Because I'd
in
be
that
like,
movie?
no, I would be like, look, it's the mic pack. It's not even me. It would be the size of a 9-volt battery anyway, so it doesn't make a difference.
And she's working the blonde
Well,
wig
she's a
in
total
that.
hottie
The
in that.
California girl.
Oh, that wasn't a wig. That was all her.
Was that?
That was her hair.
Yeah,
Wow,
she colored her
impressive.
hair.
She
She colored
colored
her
it.
hair. Yeah.
Wow, she must have stripped it and
She was
you
good.
guys do
Yeah.
it big time. Yeah,
She
yeah,
was
yeah.
so pretty in that. I would
She
not.
was.
I really thought it was a wig. I didn't know.
She's always smoking hot.
I
no
would
matter what she
never.
does.
Yeah. So I wouldn't have been surprised if you got a hard on then.
She's on. Apparently, she's going to be on Comic Book Men this season.
She is.
She is. That's right. As well as the daughter.
She's dressed as a certain character.
Yes,
No,
isn't she dressed as
Silent Bob.
Yeah, yeah. He talked a little bit about this on.
Yeah,
one
he
of
did.
the shows.
I didn't want to say too much.
But
I think
apparently they
people
kiss
already
or
know.
something. And it's
They kiss each other. Or something?
Yeah. They're dressed. So it's a guy on guy
Oh
kiss.
my God,
Yeah, a lot of
that's
beard
so-
going. yes.
Only Kevin would do that.
Yeah.
Kiss himself.
Of course it would.
Himself.
Yeah.
Himself is not right. Is it himself or himself?
I don't know.
Himself.
I think it's himself.
Yes, 'tis himself. It is. Yes.
It is. Tis
Yes.
himself.
Speaking
Tis
of which.
himself. Oh my God! I was talking about my grandpa the other day. His name is Poppy Michael Burns. Rest in peace, sir.
Okay.
From Sneem, Ireland. And that's
Who are we
how
talking about it
he
with?
would call. That's what he would say. Himself.
Who were we talking about this?
My Poppy.
No,
That's
but who
what I'm
were we talking about this conversation? Who did we have that conversation with? Because I remember it.
Was it to each other?
Was it the Hawks?
It could have been. Yes. It could have been. To each other.
The irony.
The
irony.
I was talking to somebody and they said this, and I'm like, yeah, that sounds familiar. Wait a minute, that was me.
That's why it sounds familiar.
Now I know why
Oh
it
no,
sounds
it wasn't
familiar.
him. I talked to anybody else but him. No,
Yes,
just kidding.
indeed.
We talk a lot to one another, just so you can tell.
I should hope so. You live in the same house.
So before anyone forgets, September 6th, there's going to be a big event down in the Red Bank area. Or is it?
Yeah.
Red Bank.
No.
No, it's not Red Bank Suite.
Atlantic Highlands.
Atlantic Highlands.
See, to us up here in Morris County, that's all one big
Right.
mess.
Atlantic Highlands is where Kevin grew up.
Yes.
Kevin would get entertained in Atlantic Highlands. Atlantic Highlands also is the same town that the First Avenue Playhouse is still,
Yes.
where
That's
Kevin
right.
held the auditions for the film.
Yes.
And I was one of the auditioners along with, Marilyn Gigliotti and Jeff Anderson and Lisa Spoonhour and stuff. So,
God, I love
which is
that.
also referenced in Shooting Clerks, going back again.
Now, there's one little weird thing because I feel it's a little bumpy in transition. I'm glad it's there, but it comes across a little bumpy if you know the backstory, because Lisa Spoonhour, who passed,
God rest her soul.
Yes.
she wasn't found through the First Avenue Playhouse. Apparently, he found her through the
Correct.
college.
And this is the issue. I say that 15% of it is time constraints.
Yeah, exactly.
and artistic
So,
license.
and it does feel a little bumpy there if you know the story, because
Correct, which he's talked about on his podcast as well.
and I said to the guy, the Shooting Clerks guy, I think I said to Brad, I'm like, the only thing is, like, if he just had seen her at Atlantic Highlands, why would she be so weird out in the car? It just, to me, that seems a little bumpy.
Well,
but
that's
if you
where
know the real story,
Correct.
then you know that.
And in the movie, the Kevin Smith character says, like, "Oh, you arrived late. You might have not heard my introduction."
Yes, he
to
kind of
everybody."
explained
He
that.
kind of covers it, and that's something that actually they shot just recently
I know.
after Lisa had passed.
Yes.
Because Lisa had,
yeah.
during the interviews that they had with Lisa about what had happened during the making of Clerks. She had told them a whole series of other backstories of things that, she said, like there was this one story about how she actually accepted to do this because she thought Kevin was kind of cute and he wanted to see what was going to happen. And so they actually they found extra money from people online and stuff like that. And they shot these 3 or 4 extra scenes that had more Lisa Spoonhour's character in it. And it put it into the film to have more because, Christopher Downey, the writer-director, said, like, if I didn't put this in, these stories would be lost. No one would ever know about these backstories, which really happened. So that's why he added all these extra scenes. And so it's a great tribute to her, especially really about, but yes, in the real aspect of what happened in getting Lisa to be a part of Clerks, they took some, creative license to make her that she came to the auditions.
So she was not at the auditions.
No, and
she did a script. He saw her at a script. He was sitting in the back of a class or something.
At Brookdale College, and saw her at a drama class, and she was doing a staged reading of something, and liked what she did.
Yeah,
and he approached her, but he approached her. The parking lot's part of it is correct. He approached her while she was in the parking lot, and she was like,
by herself.
And she was like talking to him through the.
So that's why it was like some sort of weird stalker was on her.
Right. I think it's Stephanie Price plays her. She did a really good job.
She did an amazing job as her as well.
Yeah.
And so so it's those type of things like I was talking about earlier about dramatic license. Like, well, did it really happen that way or not?
Yeah. So knowing the real story, that's why I felt like, I wonder if it's going to translate well. But I love the final cut. I love the additions.
And there's more to come. That's the funniest thing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so this isn't really... The film is not even locked in yet. So this is like the second to last.
Oh, my God.
final
We've
cut.
seen it like 7 times.
So we could still get cut yet, Gene, you and I.
No.
But listen, Bob, the gentleman who plays Bob Hawke is great.
Oh, yeah. And apparently Bob Hawke is now...
Yeah, but we're going to keep it a secret.
Well, I don't know what he is. I just know that apparently something was shot with him.
I think so. We're
See what happens.
You can't tell everybody everything.
Well, I think the internet has been telling everybody everything.
Well, we'll see what happens. I'm sure within the next couple of months you'll have those guys back on the show to promote.
Yes,
Once
indeed.
we have it finally locked down, and I'm sure they can talk about it then. And maybe the man himself can come in and do if you send a car service for him to come in and do an interview.
That'd be awesome. Yeah. What the fuck was I going to... The one button I loved, and I won't say what it was, but when they added Randall's mom, that, to me, was sweet.
Right.
And then I went over to talk to him about it, and he was like, apparently they used a special effect on that. And I was like... there's more story just there.
Yeah.
Correct.
So, but I enjoyed that button a lot. And because when I said to it, I'm like, wait a minute. He's like, she didn't do that. And I said, but wait a minute, in my memory... I distinctly remember her doing, and he's like, and then he went on to tell, and I was like, wow, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
So I don't want to spoil anything, folks. I don't want to throw any spoilers. Anyone who's seen it, you kind of know what I'm talking about. Those who haven't, you'll figure it out.
There'll be more screenings
the gentleman who played Jeff Anderson was quite a cutie pie.
Okay,
yeah. Tom.
Yes.
Tom was an awesome guy.
Yes.
What's his last name?
God.
Woodard or
no, Constantine.
Constantine.
No, wait. Who?
It's terrible. I don't remember his last name.
We're all like, it's as soon as you put a mic in front of us, that's where it goes.
He's so charismatic.
Yes,
he is, and very well. I mean, for a guy who his native accent is Scottish. From Edinburgh, no less. To pull off a Jersey accent and the mannerisms of Jeff Anderson.
And the funny thing is when
Tom Sullivan.
That's right, Tom Sullivan. When he came up to me, we hadn't seen him since November,
right?
And I don't know, maybe when I saw him, he wasn't as bearded or whatever.
Plus, he's a lot more
cut.
Oh, my
God. And plus, he was all dressed up. I mean, essentially, I eventually told him he looked like a fucking Bay City roller.
Yeah.
Because,
his dress.
Wow, that is a reference that you pulled out of your ass.
Nice fucking pull, huh?
Wow.
And Scottish to boot.
Yeah, 1973 call. They want their band back.
But he had the vest on and everything, man.
I gotcha. My brother had that band on 8-track, bro. 8-track.
Hey, I remember my father...
rolling on the rock and roll.
My father,
Saturday night.
my parents used to listen to the fucking flashback 50s station.
No, I got you.
And they would play that song every weekend.
It's a gigantic hit.
Yeah. So, but he looked like a Bay City roller. So I'm thinking, where the fuck I know him. I know he's in the movie.
What the hell?
What part was? And then like
He's on the album.
Eventually, like
He's
we're
so cute in
talking,
the
and
movie.
Gene's like, and I'm like, oh fuck, he's Jeff Anderson. How the fuck did I not remember that?
Yeah.
And then I went over and talked to him and explained everything. Dropped the Bay City Roller,
Right.
which he didn't get.
Of course not. He was too young.
Well,
Yeah,
they're
he's like,
Scottish.
who the fuck is that?
It was
I
like
had no idea.
pulling from his deep
The
cabin.
gentleman. Oh wait, the gentleman who played Walter was supposed to be at the at the
as
Monmouth
was
Film
Kevin.
Festival. They were on the bill. I don't know what happened.
I think a couple of people were ticked about that too.
Really?
On what bill? What are you talking about?
They were supposed to be there.
At the Monmouth Film Festival.
They were on there.
Correct. Well, Christopher Downey had a medical issue. He had to go back.
Yeah.
Oh, is he okay?
Yeah, he's fine.
Okay.
And then he was just he had prescription that ran out. And
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
And the Americans don't. They have national health care, what we don't.
He would have to pay $1 million for a fucking pill or some shit.
Plus, he has kids. He was missing his kids
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
And then the guy who played Kevin Smith, he was never booked to be at the
Yeah.
event, so he left on his regular
But
time.
Kevin was actually billed to be there.
Yes,
at
but
Monmouth.
the flight getting back out west for Funko was going with the weather that was coming through the Northeast. I
Yeah.
think he wanted to get on an earlier flight so that he would get to Funko to
That makes sense.
tape
To
that.
the Funko
yeah,
Blast.
so that's why he left.
That makes sense.
But his mom, Grace, stayed around.
Yes,
Oh my
she
God, she's
actually
so great.
she was
She's
supposed to
so
leave right after that
sweet.
Saturday night in Atlantic Highlands, but she stayed a whole other week just to hang out more with the filmmakers, which was great. And
She stayed the whole week. To hang out
yeah,
with
she
them?
did. She did.
I'm glad she was there because I handed off
Grace,
Kevin's
you're so
birthday present to
sweet.
her.
Yeah,
And then,
you got to give her
and
that.
then
It was
she,
safe there.
And speaking about extra footage, they did some extra footage with Grace as well.
Oh, wow. Any milk footage?
I don't know. We'll see.
Oh my God!
Because
that
they
would
currently
be
have some
so
crazy
great.
Scottish lady who's actually the director's mom.
Well, yeah, he felt that
I
if
love
Kevin could
that.
put his mom in, why
Yes.
not he put his own mom in, which is hilarious because she is such a Scottish accent.
Oh
It
my
was
God! I
hilarious.
loved it.
Yes.
You're like,
And
shove that milk up your arse. It was like
Arse,
a
you're up your arse.
he also, if you realize, he gives her the origin of the movie title.
Right.
Because it's her.
Clerks,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
She does a great
Hurrah.
job. I love
She does.
It.
She does an amazing job. With it.
So, up your arse.
I like the guy who plays Vinny, too. He's
The guy, well, even and here was,
that's
and the
Brett
greatest
Murray's
compliment was Vinny loved the guy who played Vinny.
Oh,
Yeah,
And Vinny,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
if
yeah.
anybody follows Vince Pereira, and he does his movie reviews, especially online, he's very particular about
Yeah.
small details and the essential details, and
Yes.
he really, and we all did. We really went, oh my God, this cat who played Vinny got him exactly the way he was. And
Oh my God! The guy who played
He's
you
been
was
flirting with
adorable.
this show for
Brian
quite some
Hahn.
time, Vinny.
yeah, the guy who
Right?
plays me, who his voice and everything,
I
it was spooky. I was
know.
like, I don't remember voicing over dubbing this guy's voice, but
Man,
everybody,
here's what I'll say,
everybody
though.
turned to me and like, oh my God, this guy sounds and kind of looks exactly like me.
know.
That guy, though, has an innocence that I don't know if you've ever had.
No.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? He's got, there's something very sweet about him that I don't know that you've ever had.
Oh, I've had that. If you knew
I
me back
go
in
back.
if you knew me back in '93, I did have that sweetness. I've become jaded and angry all these years.
It does fade, sweet.
Now
you
it's
know
like,
that.
go fuck off. No, just kidding. It's that type of
That's
thing.
probably why I was afraid of you. I used
Afraid
to
of
be,
me?
I was very afraid of you. I don't know if you
No.
remember that. Oh, yeah.
Well, I
If
don't
you
know
go back
because
to
I
this
wasn't.
first
I didn't
show.
know you. How would I know if you were afraid of me?
Well, I talked about it. I probably talked about it in our first interview.
Hmm.
I was very nervous of you because I've seen you cut people to ribbons live.
Well, that's just that's comedy, man.
That's comedy.
There's a difference. It's all love and war when it comes to comedy.
See, but then you get a chance to roast him if you're lucky.
That's true.
Or come visit me and do the roast. Exactly.
Yes.
We also have coming to the roast, which is September 6th.
Ernie will be there, right?
Ernie O'Donnell's on the dais. That's
Yes.
right. But we also have some surprise guests who are going to come in and maybe
fun.
do a joke or two, or maybe make an appearance, and maybe do more than one joke or two. We have a couple of surprise guests who couldn't make it that we're going to have video feed in on them as
Oh,
well.
nice.
Not live, but they've recorded stuff for us. So it's not just the people on the dais. Come on down. There's only 150 seats, so it's going to sell out quickly.
Wow.
And there's like so much going on.
And
There's so many people.
We'll be there. We'll be there.
And part of the money is going to a wonderful charity called the Brody Fund.
Okay.
Which is a charity.
Brody?
Yes, which is a charity based out of down in the Red Bank area. grants that are given to families who can't afford treatments for cancer for their pets. So it's part of the money is going to that fund. Tickets are only $20.
Is Scott connected with them?
I think he's Angels for Animals.
He's Angels for Animals.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
I get all my charities mixed up.
There's bunches of them. So these are, I know the woman personally who runs this charity. And
what was it again? Can you say the name?
Yeah, the Brody Fund. You can go online
to
Twitter account and Instagram. The Brody,
that's such a nice thing.
BRODIE, thebrodyfund.org.
Just like Brody.
Yep.
Like Brody.
Well, it was a cat. It was a cat of hers who got nasal cancer, and who was getting. She would go get her treatments. Now she's a woman who can afford to get the cancer treatments for the pets, but there are people who can't afford these treatments.
And that's how you get back.
Let me guess.
Yeah.
Diana? Did Diana find?
Did Diana what?
Did she find this person for you?
No. This is a woman who've been friends. Me and Diana have been friends with for years and years.
Because I know she's also a
we have similar friends who we're all animal.
We're all bleeding hearts, and
we have a soft spot for pets and animals, and sometimes.
Yes.
So this woman just started this fund 2 years ago. So when she said, "Hey, I'm starting this charity," and she's also a cat therapist, pet therapist, and she has a business called The Contented Cat. So she does Reiki and all sorts of stuff. But anyway, she it's really some interesting stuff.
ear Reiki.
That's like
I guess
that's like chakra stuff.
Right.
I know.
So and she also does a whole bunch of stuff. But anyway, if you want to come down,
I forgot my mantra.
Part of the money is going to the Brody Fund.
Yes,
it's a wonderful location, Atlantic Highlands. You want to be there because it's going to be hilarious.
Oh my God, there's going to be so many funny people there.
It's going to be so many, and there's people I can't even say because we're trying to keep it a huge surprise.
And we like spoil the shit out of things, so you can't.
You tell us.
You
got to tell us off air.
No, I'm not even going to do that.
Grace,
I'm not.
Grace, I don't blame you.
I don't want you.
Will Grace be there?
Don, stop yelling.
That I can't say. Either. But definitely, you definitely want to come down to it. It's on First Avenue in the Highlands. The address is number 40 First Avenue, right above the Harborside Bar and Grill. If you're from that area, especially, this is a can't miss event. It's a Wednesday. You have nothing going on Wednesday. We'll get done early enough. You'll be able to get to work with no problems.
150 seats will sell out.
And
150
don't
seats
you
will
have
sell
to
out
work the
quickly.
next day because you only live once.
I fly out the next day to Nashville for Wizard World. So
wow.
Yeah. So I gotta pack up and stuff, and I'm co-producing it, so I gotta make sure things get wrapped up. So I can't even drink like I normally do, and then just go home.
Because
is it your birthday? Is it around your birthday?
No, my birthday's December 20th. It was just something that Chris Covert, my good friend and comedian, said, we should do a roast for you. And I was like, okay, do we really want to? And then he was like, no, we're doing it. And so
is it being filmed?
I believe so. I believe we're going to tape it. So at some point we'll have some sort of outlet to air it.
There you go.
But definitely come down. It's worth it.
Because there's a lot of people that want to see that, like outside the
area.
Yeah. If you want
roasts are fun. I
mean, they are.
They can be quite. Let's see.
Mean?
Yeah.
Well, that's what they are. They're mean.
Yeah. There's a difference between mean and mean-spirited.
Correct.
Yeah.
But it's good because, look, I have a spine that I can take shit.
Right.
And look, I know all my faults. And I goof on my own faults all the time. So you're not going to tell me nothing that I don't already know. People are going to be there's going to be a lot of people like, hey, he had sex. Dressed as a clown in a movie. I'm like, that's yes, true. Dude, I was there. I filmed it. God. I know. So it's that type of stuff that'll start happening. They're going
amazing movies.
They're going to goof on. They're going to goof on Brian. And here's the thing.
Brian, you were amazing in that.
Oh, thank you. We put a lot of work into that.
That is amazing work.
But I'm telling you yourself. I know everybody put a lot of work in it, but you put a lot of work. You blew my head off.
Thank you.
Seriously.
But you didn't kiss a man in it, so I don't know if it actually is true acting. No, I was doing a bad Ben Affleck.
You know what?
reference.
Yeah, because I think that was kind of twisted around.
No, actually, Kevin talked about it recently on the show. And,
I don't know. I think he kind of.
I was going low rent anyway.
That was
too soony on my part, for sure.
Trying to give him like an amazing review because it's true.
Yeah.
Well, and Brian Johnson, who will be there as well, who wrote, directed, and co-starred in it. So we'll be goofing on each other. Everybody's going to be goofing on each other. So it's not just I'm not taking the brunt of all the goof.
Right.
And like I said, it'll be fun. It'll be a great time.
Well, and it's really like a loving thing. It's
not kind
like
of it is.
It's
weird,
kind of a weird.
In
thing.
a weird way, it's an honor to be roasted. That people think enough of you that I want to bring people to talk shit about you right in front of hundreds of people.
Because I know you can take it.
Because I know you can take it.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, let's see. People are going to roast you. People are putting you in movies about an aspect of your life.
Yeah.
You're getting a lot
It
of
is
bells
weird.
rung.
It is definitely very weird. I never thought that there'd be a movie or someone else portrayed me in real life.
Yeah.
Except
God,
maybe
that
like
must feel
on
so
America's
good.
Most Wanted.
Well, I mean, it is weird, like as if no one's ever been middle-aged before. But now that '90s generation is getting to the middle age.
Right.
And we're seeing heroes die. We're seeing things that we used to think were cool become kind of pop culture-y and sought after, like Atari and all. Did you
That's
read?
still cool though.
Yeah. Did you read Ready Player One? Oh, Spielberg is doing it.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
The movie,
it just celebrates pop culture and all. It's kind of like what's the with Katniss? What the hell's that movie?
Oh, the Hunger Games?
It's like Hunger Games for geeks.
Oh, right on.
Like in virtual reality, and the fact that Spielberg is directing it puts it over the top.
So that means Tom Hanks is in it.
I don't know. If Tom Hanks is in it. I don't know.
He's going to be someone in it. Come on. They're joined at the hip.
Have you seen any movies this season, this summer?
Have I?
Yeah.
The last thing I saw was the Spider-Man movie.
Okay.
What'd you think?
What would you think?
I thought it's great for high school kids. I think it's awesome for high school kids who don't need to know the origin story.
Yeah.
Right.
I thought it was I thought it was good for them.
Yeah.
Is it good for us who know
It was
pretty much
fluffy.
every incarnation
Yeah,
of
right.
any Spider-Man movie? It's
Right.
like, it's a Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, that was sort of our whole family's reaction to
Like,
it.
it's
Not that we didn't
hard.
like it, but
No,
just-
like I said, I
it was a
liked
good
it.
movie, but it was like, it's
But
another Spider-
I saw what the marketing ploy was. The marketing ploy is let's get millennials, younger,
Yeah.
So,
much younger millennials into it.
So they
What's
got what
the
they
next
were-
name? I'm
like
just
Guardians
curious.
was a far better superhero movie.
See, that I haven't seen yet.
See Guardians
and I
too.
know like
and
half
Rooker's
the people.
amazing.
I
in it.
know. Yeah.
Oh
Rooker's
my God,
amazing.
Brian,
You'll
you
love
are
it.
going to love
And what
it.
I'm afraid of now is just by saying that I've kind of 24'd you.
Not
Right?
anymore about it. I know. I talked to Rooker, so I know that he's amazing. And he's like, "Yeah, you're gonna vote for me for the People's Choice Award, right?"
Oh my
I'm like,
God,
"Yes,
you sound
Rooker."
just like him.
Wow. Oh, that's right. You're a convention guy.
Yes, me and him have the same agent.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So
There's another guy on your roster
Sean-
we're trying to
Sean-
lawn too.
Sean Gunn is
Sean
with
Gunn.
us. Who
Oh,
are
you said
this
it.
weekend they're up in
Why are you
terrific.
giving our hair? Yeah, they've been working. We've been working Sean Gunn for the
Yeah,
show.
to see he might
Yeah.
we might have him as a
Well,
guest.
make sure you ask about his cat charity
Oh.
as
I
well.
will. I
Oh,
can't
well.
wait.
He's a
Does he have
big-
another cat charity?
He's a big
Yes,
cat.
he has
Yes,
a cat charity,
he
big
does.
cat charity as well. So
He's
he's
I
amazing.
was reviewing some of his information, yes, and he
Yeah,
does have a cat charity.
He won my heart in the first movie when he was like, Captain's going to make him do stuff, or whatever the fuck it was. I was like, I love this guy. I don't know who he is, but I love him.
But he also does all the stand-in work for
Yes,
the Rocket the
for
Raccoon.
Rocket, yes.
So
That's-
now he's getting a lot of work doing
I
all that
know,
stuff.
that's
He's
why I
like
wanted to
the
get him in
American.
here.
He's like the American version of Circus.
He's
my
becoming
God.
like, yeah,
I tell
exactly.
you, I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
Andy
He's
Serkis.
become the CG
When Andy
guy.
Serkis can't do it, get Sean Gunn.
Did
I
he do
love
King
Andy
Kong?
Serkis.
Someone
Well,
else
King
did.
Kong did Circus. Andy
no,
Serkis
no.
did
This
King Kong.
this King Kong lives. Apparently, there's another guy, another
really?
King Kong in there.
Oh,
yeah.
right.
Really?
It's not the movie isn't
Another
that great,
Andy
but I will
Serkis or
say
King Kong?
this: like the first, 30 minutes or so, are like when you finally see King Kong, and they don't keep it that long. It's probably about 20 minutes in. When he fucking rips the shit out of these guys in the air, it's awesome. So it's
Is this the Skull Island one you're
yeah,
talking about?
let's go on.
All right.
I mean, it's not big on plot. It's not big on.
It's a King Kong movie.
Exactly. Which means they did it right. So if you're a King Kong fan, you'll have fun.
The whole thing just makes me sad. I feel bad for him the whole time.
Yeah,
I don't like watching it. It just upsets me.
The only thing I was sort of let down was they stuck so much to the origin. They have these monsters that look like the pit crawlers that have like no legs, just kind of
Right.
wiggle. So they built like these giant CG versions of them, and it just doesn't scare me. Just they only have 2 limbs. I don't know. All right,
I just
that's
find
me.
the whole movie.
And I love the first movie.
I
I'm a
just
fan.
find the whole movie like a big let's provoke the ape.
Well, it's a big setup for King Kong versus Godzilla.
Well, you're
I know,
totally
but
going to be disappointed then with Planet of the Apes if you don't like the Provoking of the Ape movies. It's a whole series of nothing but
I know,
Provoke
I
the
just-
Ape movies.
yeah, I know. It's just
But another Andy Serkis movie, by the way.
Andy Serkis, I love him.
Yes, that's right.
And I love all the background, the Lord of the Rings, like the background stuff, and he's in it. Isn't he in it?
Yeah, he's also second unit director, too.
And Hobbit, right?
Yeah,
too?
that's right.
And
He's
the
second
Hobbit,
unit for Hobbit. Yeah, that.
But when did he start that, though? Because he was
second unit
beginning,
stuff?
Yeah, like that
Right,
was sort of
I
dropped
I think
on
it was
him.
the second or third movie of the Lord of the Rings series. Then he's like, look, I want you to be.
all of the making of, if you love the Lord of the Rings.
It was the Hobbit series. And he
Was
brought
it
him
the
into
Hobbit?
act,
I'm
and
sorry.
he's like,
I'm sorry,
oh.
I did get it confused. Sorry.
Yeah. The Hobbit stuff is nuts.
All of the making
Hey,
of
let's
the
take
Hobbit?
it. Let's take one book and turn it into 3 movies.
But the making of is so interesting.
Yeah. Making all that shit's interesting.
I know.
I
It's
love
awesome.
all of it.
And Kevin hates all those movies.
Yes, he does. Because
Does he
they're
really?
walking movies.
They're walking movies.
Or are you
know
just
what?
taking it out of the Clerks 2 joke?
Well, he does
But he mentioned
occasionally
it
touch
recently.
on
I
it,
thought he
and
did.
he has said that like the rings aren't his jam.
No,
You know,
I get
this
it.
is not his thing.
But I
so.
think he...
I don't think he was a D&D player, that's why.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. I don't
He
think
never
it's...
held a 20 side.
But if he
Right.
really thought about it, the movies, they're so, like, conversational and so, like,
Well,
character,
yeah.
like,
Well,
development.
I got
That's
no
why I
problem
think-
pointing out that like at least 3 of
Jay
his
and
movies
Silent
are
Bob.
road movies.
Look,
Jay and
they're-
Silent Bob is walking. How often do
they're-
they walk?
Exactly.
Jay and Silent Bob.
The
When they're
Lord of the
walking.
Rings and the Hobbit movies, they're plain and simple, they're character.
Yes.
Exactly.
It's not about the plot of getting to where they need to go.
Right.
Exactly.
It's the actual
It's the
character
journey
study.
getting there.
It's the character
Exactly.
study.
Exactly.
So, I know.
And you need 3 endings. to
And
get
Brian did. He said, "You think?" I don't really know. He might kind of like them.
Since every episode is like a comic book, and since every first reader is bound to tune into this episode, Clerks 3. What happened?
I'm the wrong guy in the chair for that one.
In a nutshell.
That's a Kevin Smith, Jeff Anderson question.
I know.
Okay.
And it's pretty much. And Kevin has talked about this on his
He's
own
talked
show.
about
Yeah.
It's it got into when the script was written. I was on board. Obviously, everybody was.
Yeah, I
saying
remember
yes
you
to
loved it.
And then at one point there's parts of the script that actually made me cry. And,
Yeah, I remember that.
And that's how wonderfully beautiful
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
And so when it
There's
came
parts
down
of Clerks too that make me cry.
well, yeah,
so.
absolutely. There's when they brought in this production company that Kevin had worked with on his Tusk movies and everything else, and they were new to the Clerks group of people to make movies, and then they came in with offers and stuff. Just things started to get a little haywire. They came in very not on board with what we wanted to do, meaning me, Jeff, and everybody else. And so it kind of went from there, and then there was just back and forth with Jeff thinking Kevin was in control of all that, which he wasn't, because he's not producing it technically. It was this production company that was, and it just went ugly really quick. And instead of negotiating back and forth, it just went ugly.
So is that Demarest, I believe? Is that the...
I have no idea, and nor do I, care about who it was, because it just fell through. And for the longest time, we would say, like, look, we're working on it. There's some logistics we're working on, which it is. It's a logistics getting things signed. And then it just fell apart. And so it sat there. But knowing what Kevin is going to be doing now with the Jay and Silent Bob movie, because then we were going to move on to a Mallrats TV series.
Yes.
So Kevin, Universal stepped in, look, we don't want to do a film. If you want to, we'll give you the option to do maybe as a TV series. Kevin wrote 10 parts of episodes of a miniseries, shopped it around to all television and streaming kind of outlets that he thought would be hip to it. As of right now, no one has said yes. Now, the thing about people need to understand is TV is different and streaming is different than films getting greenlit or not. It just because someone says no now or doesn't say yes now doesn't mean it's a no forever. It's something that someone, television and streaming executives, those positions get high turnover. And it's a matter of someone who's sitting in the chair who makes decisions who goes, yes, this is worth putting funding towards. Let's do it, and we'll see what happens. So Kevin took some of the ideas that was part of Clerks 3 and put a little bit in that Mallrats series. Now that has been put on not go yet, and now he's doing this Jay and Silent Bob reboot movie. He told me a basic outline of where that's going, and there's a good portion of what was going to be in 3 going to be in the Jay
Oh, I love that.
Now, that would make sense because... First of all, he owns the rights he and Jay own the rights to Jay and Silent Bob, so no one can stand in the way in that regard.
But also, technically, when we last left off Clerks 2, they were silent partners of the Quick Stop.
That is very true. Yes, indeed they were. There's all kinds of crossovers in the universe.
Correct. So with all that being said, so it's not that far to see that Dante especially shows up in.
And you were a dad.
Sorry. Yes, I was expecting dad at that point.
Yes.
Yeah, there was a lot of fun stuff that was going to happen in Clerks 3. And Kevin has hinted that he may say.
Have you seen a Jay and Silent Bob rebooted script?
No, I have not.
Okay.
I think Scott has seen it. Jay has seen it. Obviously, his wife, who reads everything he does, has seen it. People that he specifically wants to see it has seen it. I think maybe about 10 people have seen it. I am not one of those 10.
Of course, I mean, it's genius because it's hey, we're making fun of rebooted movies.
Correct.
They're rebooting Jay and Silent Bob. Correct. We want to stop the reboot.
Okay, I have to say this before we go on.
It's a road movie.
And it's, it's cameo filled.
Oh my God, I love all that.
It opens itself up.
Yeah, so I have to say, I love Clerks just because it's Clerks. And it was like the first of, but I love Clerks too.
Yeah, me too.
It all depends. It all depends on how it hits you.
I know, but it's just like that movie you just go to.
I like them
it's
both.
Like a comforting movie.
The only thing you'll say, without Clerks, you can't have Clerks 2.
Of course not.
But I mean,
Stewie's getting photographs.
It's like Stewie gets the photographs here. But we can bowl over.
He's the best.
Yes, he's a good
so
cat.
cute. Is he showing you his belly?
No. He's sleeping and he's in a position that's
he's
very
so
funny.
content with
he's the cat that you can.
Right.
The only thing he doesn't like is being picked up.
Most orange tabbies are that exact way.
He doesn't like to be picked up, and he won't jump on your lap. He likes to be over here, and you pet him on a separate, like that.
And we have a female tabby who's way too smart.
No.
And way too bitchy.
She's a calico.
Calico, what is it?
Calico,
Yeah.
she's very much the personality of a calico.
Yeah. Psycho. But way too smart, too.
Smart,
She'll watch TV and shit.
Smart and crazy. Yeah.
Sorry. We're talking about our cats. I think that means it's time to wrap the show
up. We
up.
talk about cats forever. And Brian's a cat person.
Yep.
Yes, he is. But, I think it's time to say goodbye because we've been on for about 90 minutes now. So
and we can say good riddance to Steve Bannon.
Oh, yeah.
Thank God.
Well, let's not get political. Let's save that for the other show.
No, but I can say that.
That is on hiatus because, folks, my son has gotten a job and he's learning balance. So hopefully in another week or two.
And he'll be learning that for the rest of his life.
BCJ will be back on. But until then, I need that for my political angst. I'm also stalling, so I'm queuing up our outro. Wrong one, dummy. I want to thank Brian O'Halloran for coming in today, being in the house. It's such an honor.
Thank you guys so much.
Give us all of your
social
Twitter stuff and
sure.
social stuff.
Yes.
Brian C. O'Halloran, C as in Christopher. Brian C. O'Halloran on Twitter, on Instagram. If you want to do Facebook, it is that Brian C. O'Halloran on Facebook. Come on out. Wednesday, September 6th. You can get tickets at Eventbright. Just type in Brian O'Halloran Roast, and that'll get you there on Eventbright for tickets. $20 to come. Going a great cause, some of the money, so please come on out.
Yes, for the kiddies.
Brian's a very funny stand-up. I actually have 20 minutes of your material.
Yeah,
I need
that
to
was
post.
literally off-the-cuff type stuff
God,
because we were stalling for one of the screenings of Shooting Clerks. Which
and you're like,
this makes sense now. I can post it with this. It'll be sort of a big
there you go.
all together. Big promotion. So check out 20 minutes of stand-up footage from Shooting Clerks as well out there. We'll put out. And thank you for coming in. And everyone else, you're smart and good. Thanks for listening. And
watching, too.
Out of here. Yeah, watching. Thanks.
Smiling, praying for some faith. Thoughts are drifting through my mind and filling it with fear. crisis in matters wake is coming from our son. Living in this very moment, for this moment's done. Schemes, the Godhead in the skies, powers from our Mother Earth, it's all we'll ever be. All our souls to bind as one, come join us if you please, if you please. As we worship at our shrine, bursting flowers into bloom, there's no such thing as time. Powers from our Mother Earth will blow us to our knees. Twisting, turning, minds are burning, join us if you please. And now I see that I am just beginning its demise. Flashing bits of comic light that vanish from the skies. Powers from our Mother Earth is all we'll ever be. All our souls to bind as one, come join us if you please. If you please. If you please. If you please.
There he is. It's ThatMan standing over Blood Alley Square, protecting us all. Go get him, ThatMan.
ThatMan on Fatman is also sponsored by Audible. Check out Audible over at audibletrials.com/ThatMan on Fatman. ThatMan on Fatman is now hosted on Podbean, so find us over at thatmanonfatman.podbean.com. And we here over at ThatMan on Fatman always feel a debt of gratitude to our buddy Chunder Tunes. So go check out his animation for all your podcast animation needs over at chundertunes.com. ThatMan on Fatman is available on most social media platforms. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube, or you can go over to our links. We're on the Podbean site at thatmanonfatman.podbean.com. There's all kinds of links there to all our other resources as well. So check that out.
This is Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman, and I want to urge you to make a generous donation to the Wayne Foundation so we can stop the sexual trafficking of children. Do it, or I'll find you.
ThatMan on Fatman is recorded with a Zoom H6 handy recorder. Zoom. For creators.
Disclaimer. The show you're about to experience is for entertainment purposes only. The host used mature language and conversation just like in most of life. If you're too uptight, this might not be for you. All that said, we really do hope you enjoy the show. But if you don't enjoy it, expect a nice big shipment of my joyous Joker juice on your doorstep in the very near future. Toodles!
Yes, please note that use of all sound effects is done ironically.
Ooh-ah. You are listening to ThatMan on Fatman with Scott and Gene Holden, and they, trust me, have a great ass.
As the world's biggest Kevin Smith fan, I appreciate the fact that somebody finally made a podcast about that interesting motherfucker. So yes, you absolutely did the right thing.
Okay. What has two thumbs and is a huge fan of Kevin Smith? ThatMan!
Scott, who does ThatMan on Fatman podcast.
Yeah.
Well, once upon a time, just a regular man read a book written by the Fatman. Tough shit written by old Kev Smith.
ThatMan on Fatman.
Kev said go out and start a podcast, and so I did, and I had a real blast. But my obsession was driving my co-host nuts.
He's that man. He's talking.
Didn't want to bring the podcast down. Needed Porkchop Murphy to hang around.
Go get him, that man.
So I created a show with one heck of a plan, and I call that show ThatMan on Fatman.
ThatMan on Fatman. Go get him, that man.
We're gonna talk about Kevin Smith.
ThatMan on Fatman. ThatMan on Fatman. Go get him, that man.
We're gonna talk about Kevin Smith.
Go get him, that man.